Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, here at Williamsburg, Virginia, here at the Patriot Stadium. My name is Marcus Baylor, and to my right is Ryan Eastman. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing good. I guess you're still a little jet lagged flying from Dakota so quickly back here to participate in a SportsDen literally only a couple days after the All Star game came to a close, and we're going to be on the road again tomorrow for another game. So you better pull it together,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. Hey, it's a little bit of a struggle these past couple of weeks, doing a little bit of everything, especially for me, doing all of the sports den casting. Well, one of them, anyways. Also doing some judging, and of course, just pretty much trying to get to the flow of things again. But here we are, here in Williamsburg, getting a chance to see the Minutemen going up against the Summit here. And what do you expect from this game?
Well, it's an odd game considering I think a lot of people after the whole Jake and Kinney leaving Seattle expected Seattle not to really put up much of a fight this year, and obviously they've kind of outperformed what a lot of people were expecting and find themselves still in the playoff hunt, maybe not in the best position, but still relevant. Whereas Williamsburg obviously coming out as one of the best teams in the East. However, the fact that none of their players made the All Star game kind of scratched some people, some furs' heads. Literally coming from the All Star game not too long ago, the fact that we saw no Williamsburg Minutemen there outside of the rookies was a little surprising.
It might be the possibility of the fact that there really isn't any player that kind of stands out amongst. Like, it's a pretty much a well-oiled machine here in Williamsburg, and I'm pretty sure the ladies would agree that they don't really the um need the title of being an all-star for this year to prove that they're one of the best teams in the East right now.
Very true. They definitely have one of the more consistent starting rosters. They've majority of them have played together for well over 3+ years. Obviously, coming up soon, free agencies for a couple of them, especially their big stars, uh, Tierra and Davis. Even though I don't believe Davis will be starting here tonight, I think in kind of a discussion of whether or not she will continue in a starting role going forward is Michaela Marley has really stepped up as of late and has seemed to have taken over that starting shooting guard role.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not really too surprised. Michaela Barley has been in the league for quite a bit, and she's always had that chance to really take it to another step and really consider herself as one of the major stars. And considering the fact that she is well within Williamsburg's contract, she's pretty much tied to Williamsburg for the next few years due to her recent signing a couple of years ago. It's really good to have that chance of being able to have that kind of player on Williamsburg.
Yeah, and it's I guess interesting to see the fact that obviously Davis, a household name because of her father, um, drafted in 2012, been in the league for 7 years. Have we seen the peak of her ability? And obviously Michaela Marley, only drafted 2 years later in 2014, has had to spend most of her time developing on the bench before she's really had an opportunity to start now. Are we starting to see her peaking to her level, or does she have more that she can show us? I mean, she's only 24, about to turn 25, but still very young, very early in her career.
Yeah, she has a few years left until she actually officially hits her prime, and it's going to be very exciting to see what her career goes through, especially as Williamsburg is still pretty much in the top of the East right now, and with her abilities really thriving now, she has an opportunity to really solidify herself as a star and continue the hot streak that Williamsburg has been up to for the next few years.
All right, let's hop over to Seattle. I mean, obviously Seattle with losing Jake and Kinney, a lot of people have counted them out for this season, but Daniel Kuvianik stepping it up and keeping the team at least afloat, if that's possible with the Big Bear keeping anything afloat. Um, but the team itself definitely seems to be looking for an identity. Obviously, they still have the core players, Jerry Naranjo, Nico McNamara, and Evan Marshall, but none of those players seem to have stepped up to fill the gaps left behind by the absence of Jake Turner. what does Seattle need to do going forward to turn this ship around?
I honestly think that it's really just trying to find a way. Of course, finding that second player to step up. We already know that DQ is essentially the face of this franchise right now, but it's really up to possibly looking at Nico McNamara, considering that he has been in the league for almost 3 or 4 years, and we're still just scratching the surface of his career. We need to see some other players really try to step up and be that number two guy for this team. And Nico McNamara could be that player, but we have to wait and see.
Well, I mean, there's not a lot of waiting to be done with this team, considering only 3 players will be under contract going into next season, and none of them are named Daniel Kuvionic or Nico McNamara. Only 3 players they have locked up going forward is Merriam Wallstein, and then their 2 rookies from this year, Paul Driscoll and Reed Carter. So even though this team talking about finding a second fur to step up, they need to lock down what the talent they have now if they look to continue to build forwards, because they're looking at a complete reset here come next season.
Yeah, it's a possibility that this could be one of those years where it's auditions to see if whether or not any of these players are can play well enough for our contact, not just here on the summit, but also like anywhere in the league right now. Especially when you talk about a McNamara or an Evan Marshall and a Jerry Naranjo, to see if they still have it as being a player that could be a really good role player or perhaps a decent starter, or maybe even more as the years go on.
Yeah, and speaking of which, it looks like the players are starting to head onto the court now. Looks like we're going to head over courtside.
And indeed, we are. Here is it looking at the starting lineups for this game. It's going to be really interesting to see how each team plays out as we go ahead and get things started.
And speaking of which, Williamsburg, one of the few teams that could actually match up one-on-one against Daniel, considering they have a 8-footer as well in Todd Hugh.
Yeah, but right now we're going to see right now going over to McNamara. Passes up to Jerry Naranjo. Naranjo trying to find a way to dig into the paint, but she passes over to Kuvionic, and Kuvionic lays it up. No good, but gets his own rebound. Passes it back over to Naranjo. A lot of passing for Seattle as they reset the clock, and we get a quick reach-in foul by Michaela Marley, and that'll be her first personal of the game.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a matchup down low in the post we're going to have to keep an eye on. Todd Hugh, can he stop the big polar bears? McNamara off the inbound is going to get a little bounce off the glass there to make it work.
Yep, right now the Summit's being able to punch first with a quick 2-0. We'll see if Williams will be able to respond back. And we're going to see Michaela go for 3, and it's good.
Yeah, the Wolfbat adding depth to this Williamsburg lineup for a long time coming off the bench. And she has been deadly from beyond the arc coming off the bench, and here she's showing it starting now.
And here we go, a quick pass from Evan to Naranjo, and Naranjo tries to get the 3, but it's no good. Todd Who gets the ball. And as you said, that is going to be a very interesting matchup, but we get to see Fiora laying it up and in. Renee Fiora, a fur that came into Williamsburg a couple of years ago from San Jose. She's one of the many players that have really solidified this team, as we get to see a quick jumper on the Seattle's end. That was Jerry Naranjo.
Yeah, and Fiona locked up in a long-term contract with Williamsburg this last offseason.
Right now we get to see a quick rebound from Davina Jr. And we get to see a quick pass to McNamara going for 3, not able to get it down as Hugh gets the board. So far. Trying to see if they can get the screen going for the Minutemen, but we get to pass it over to Tierra. Tierra hands it over to Hugh. Hugh going for that fadeaway, the 15-footer, no good. As DQ gets the board, and we get to see McNamara bringing it up. McNamara passes it up to Naranjo. Naranjo going over to DQ. Some quick passing beyond the arc. Trying to see if they can find some kind of opening. As McNamara gets a quick screen. And we get to see another foul on Viola Tierra. That's another reach-in. And that'll be our first personal of the game, the second team.
Yeah, I think Williamsburg perhaps is in the best situation for dealing with DQ, considering they have so many centers on their team. Let's see if they substitute them in to deal with him throughout the game, just to keep their starters fresh.
And we get to see another reach-in foul, this time from Michaela Mari once more. She's got to get subbed out for Crystal Davis.
Yeah, and I mean, that's one advantage of having her still on the lineup, obviously, is that they can make that substitution without worry.
Yeah, both players are very well known to hold their own these past number of years. As you get to see Tierra slowly trying to find a way across the court, but she passes over to Davis. Davis getting a quick screen from Q, passes it over to Tierra. Tierra goes for three, and she rattles it home. So right now, Williamsburg is up by 8-4, with under 9 minutes left in the first quarter. And Jerry's trying to call the shots a little bit. Looking like he was going to get a quick screen from Joanna, but instead gets to pass it up. Who hands it over to Marshall. Back over to Junior. Right now, McNamara. Getting a tough shot out there, but he's able to get it down. So far, both teams shooting pretty well at the start of this, but it's pretty low scoring in the first quarter.
Well, I think, at least for DQ, perhaps he's a little tired from the All-Star game.
Yeah, right now we're going to see a quick pass to Tierra. Tierra getting a nice screen from Q, who goes for three, and it's good. Nice small little opening there for Minutemen as they extend the lead up to 5, 11-6.
Yeah, that's her second three in a row. They're going to have to watch out. 9 of Williamsburg's points have come from beyond the arc here. And huge block
there.
And a second. Oh, Hugh, that's 2 blocks on that possession.
Yeah, that was some good, excellent defense there by Q as Tierra goes for three. Not able to get it down, though, but DQ gets the board. Could have been a turn for the worse for Seattle as Marshall lays it up. Not able to get it down, but Garina is able to clean up the boards. So right now, Tierra taking the time, getting a quick little screen there to Hugh. She passes over to Hugh. Hugh looking for that tough shot, but DQ all over him.
I think you realized when he turned around just how far away he was from the basket there.
Yeah, and we get a nice screen there for Tierra, and she's able to get the lucky little roll. So far, so good for Williamsburg.
Jerry's has to be a bit more physical getting around Todd there. I mean, the Dragon's going to continue to throw those huge body screens around, and that's not even considering the fact that even once they sub him out, Williamsburg has 3 other centers they can go to here with Svingard, Penichkul, and their rookie Cruz they can bring on the floor to continue to be physical without worrying about having to foul out a center.
You're right on that one. We're going to see some quick passes over on the Seattle side as McNamara having to pull it back out a little bit. And so far, they're trying to get a quick roll, but it gets taken from the air by Hugh.
That wasn't even a block. That's a steal, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say, can that really be considered a block, or is that really a steal?
I mean, he caught it with his armpit there, basically, and that's a steal, though, from Tierra.
Yeah, right now, Tierra. That's over to Davis. Passes it back to Tierra.
So that's 2 or 3 blocks, depending on how they decide to record it for Hugh already in this quarter. And Hugh reverse slam dunk. Oh.
Yeah, right now it just seems like a little bit of the Hugh show right now. Hugh doing a fantastic job in the paint going up against DQ.
Again, I can't help but feel that maybe DQ's a little fatigued from the travel as Williamsburg's coming in fresh. Fiora with the steal there.
Yeah, right now, Fiora passes over to Davis, excuse me, right there. And then we go over to Q. Q trying to find his way into the paint. He laid it up, and it's in. Right now, the Dragon is really controlling the polar bear at the moment.
Yeah, it might be time to bring over a bit of a double team there in the post.
And Jerry going over to DQ. DQ. Pass it over to Montgomery, and we get a quick foul there. There's a shooting foul by Tierra. Interesting call there. I probably would have called that a reach-in, but I guess they thought he was throwing it up there in the air.
Yeah, I guess it looked like since he was raising his paws up with the ball, that they could argue he was going for a shot attempt, even if it was just a triple threat stance. But first chance for some buckets for Seattle in a little while after Seattle has let Williamsburg go on a bit of a run here.
Yeah, right now Seattle's down by 8 as he missed the second one, but they get the ball back there. So Seattle with a chance to cut the deficit down a little bit more. Good to see Wallenstein passing over to Carnell. Now back to Wallenstein. Lots of passing right now on the perimeter. McNamara getting guarded pretty well by Davis. Has to do something. Goes for a very tough three. Not able to get it down as Svengard gets the board. And right now, Krista Davis gets fouled by McNamara. So that'll be her first personal. Well, his first personal. As we get to see Davis go for 2. She's not able to get the first. But she's waddles home the second. So now Williamsburg is up by 9, 18-9, with less than 5 minutes left. Right now, Seattle has to find something. They have not even been able to crack the double digits in the scoreboard.
No, their pace is very, very far below what you'd like to see here. They might not even crack 20 before the quarter comes to an end. As Trishawn, nice little turnaround jumper towards the basket there, worked out for him. Finally breaking that double-digit mark.
Yeah, very much needed basket there too, as this is a very low-scoring affair for both teams, really.
Yeah, I think Williamsburg's still on track to hit 25, and block there, good. I think that was Wallstein on the getting the paw up. Is Paul Driscoll going to take the shot in transition? There we go. Seattle picking up the pace.
Yeah, Trishawn Carnell being a little of a spark for Seattle as he got the last 2 baskets. 18-13 Williamsburg. And we get to see Davis go for 3, and it hits the side of the rim.
And Driscoll going to lead the way for Seattle. Oh, another reach-in foul. That's the 5th. That's going to be a bonus situation now.
Yeah, the Minutemen has to be really careful. It seems like they're trying their best to get all the turnovers they can against Seattle, but they have to really be careful there.
Yeah, I was going to say Driscoll, draftee, well, the 24th pick this year. A bit of an oddball for Seattle considering he's only 5'5", shortest player on the team, and kind of a bit of an opposite of what you'd come to expect from Seattle, given their tall lineup they had going for a while there.
Yeah, well, it's pretty much trying to find that new identity change since a lot of the guys that we're used to seeing on this team has now moved on into a particular team specifically, but
the Plymouth Summit.
Yeah, yeah. Right now we get to see Williamsburg trying to see if they can try to pick up the offense once again, and we get to see a quick 3-pointer, and it's good.
Speaking of which, we have to watch them tomorrow. How much do you think fans are going to tune into the game thinking they're watching Seattle play?
I think a good percent, considering they're both Kinney, and we get to see another reach in there, this time by McNaught. So, as we are in the bonus, we get to see Trishawn Carnell shoot for 2.
If he can make them.
For the rest.
And, of course, Seattle struggling from the free throw line here.
Yeah. The notion of them not being as good of a free throw team is still there, even with the changes, as he is able to make the second, so they're only down by 7, though. See if they can cut the deficit down a little bit more on defense. And now we get to see a quick pass to Olivia. The butterfly, not able to get it down that time.
I mean, this is the very rare opportunity where she actually has the height advantage. She needs to be hitting every shot she takes.
Yeah, but right now we get to see Svengard gets the board. And we get some trying to get a fast break going, but not able to get it down that time. All right, now, Carnell Passed it over to Disco. Disco having a tough shot going, but is not able to get it down as Oliveira is able to get the board. And right now we're trying to having to pull it back a little bit. See a quick pass to Magnano. Magnano going over to Oliveira. Oliveira going for the 15-footer, and it's good.
One of the few
nice
times
jump shot there.
Say one of the few times you'll see the butterfly do well in the post. 5'10" going against a 5'5" fur, and Driscoll doesn't have the hops necessarily to guard her there.
Yeah, right now we're going to see Carnell heading over to Wallstein, who hands it over to Al. Lots of passing once again on the perimeter on Seattle's end. And we're going to see Carnell trying to find a way to push himself into the thing, but he's not able to get down. But Wallstein gets the and one.
That is one thing even this iteration of Seattle is good at, is pulling down the offensive rebounds. We've seen a few here. That's one way they can keep this game. Even if they're not being efficient, as long as they keep going those second chance buckets to fall, they can stay relevant here.
And we get a nice pass there into the paint for Oliveira.
Yeah, that's a just heads-up play, seeing the butterfly breaking behind the basket. Defense was not expecting it at all, and they just let her waltz in there.
Yeah, right now, Seattle's trying to think of something to do as we only get 1 minute left into the first quarter. See if they can actually break into the 20. We're going to see a quick three. Not able to get it down, Carnell. But Wallstein gets the board and gets fouled once again.
Whew, that's 8 fouls here in the first quarter alone. I mean, you don't usually see that much fouling until the final quarter when a team's desperate, but Williamsburg being physical here tonight.
Yeah, right now we're trying to out-tough Seattle, it seems. And right now the deficit is only down to 6. But they do have another shot of trying to break the 20 mark. Let's see a quick pass in the paint for Oliveira again. But it's not good this time as Johnson gets the board. And Al passes over to Wallstein. Taking his time, passing it back to Al. Quick passes. Trying to get a good screen. He's not able to get it. He got it that time, has a little bit of room, and rattles it. So Seattle does end up breaking the 20 mark before the quarter is up.
But more importantly, they bring it back within 4, even though Williamsburg will have the last shot here. It's a respectable game once again after going down by over 10 there.
And right now we're going to see a quick pass to Magnano, who passes over to Patchcall. Patchcall going to lay it up, and it's good. With 0.7 left on the game clock for the first quarter, and that's how we're going to end it. Williamsburg is up by 6, 27-21.
There's that little bit of a replay about Hughes' blocks there. That's definitely the player I have my eye on going into the second quarter to see if he can keep up that fiery defense that he brought out here early.
Yeah, and it's something that we haven't really seen on a very rare occasion, is DQ actually being handled very well against Hu by himself. It's not even just other players trying to get into his head, but right now Hu doing an excellent job as we continue on into the second quarter.
And most importantly, Hugh has no fouls. That's the big thing. This allows him to stay physical the rest of the game if he stays out of foul trouble.
Yeah, right now we get a missed three-point opportunity on Williamsburg's side. As Seattle are trying to take advantage as Carter gets blocked, it looked like. And right now we're going to see a quick pass to Oliveira once again. Oliveira laying it up, but it hits the side of the backboard. So an easy rebounding opportunity as we get to see a nice a two-pointer.
Yeah, and Triana's upset about that. She thought she was behind the line, but she stepped too far.
Yeah, right now we're going to see an alley-oop pass, and it's good there as Fengars gets an easy lay-in. Caught Seattle a little bit off guard there. Yeah, right now we get to see a quick pass to Al. Al. Getting a good screen there. Trying to find some opening. They lose the ball there, and it looks like it's going to be a... Oh, no, never.
A full court heave almost.
Rebound by Walton. Excellent play for her. As Johnson passes over to Carter. Carter heading over to Al. Al for three once more. Not able to get it down, but Waldstein trying to clean it up. Not able to get it down, though. But great effort there.
Well, great effort, but poor decision-making. She tried to do a volleyball set-in, and there was no one between her and the basket. She could have just dribbled it in herself. Got a little too fancy there, and Weinberg going to turn the ball over. So Seattle gifted here another possession.
Yeah, right now Williamsburg is struggling a little bit here in the early goings of the second quarter. You have to find a way to calm down and try to get better on defense. As Walston goes for three and is no good as Cruz gets the board. And right now, Tierra. She's trying to take her time. Finding her way into the paint. She passes over to Cruz, but they had the passes their way back out into the perimeter, and he has to make a wild three, an air ball, but Marley picks it up and lays it in.
And that's just sloppy boxing out there. No, Marley should not have been able to get that offensive rebound off of an air ball nonetheless.
Right now, here comes Marshall. It's a screen from Wallstein. Trying to get a second screen. Blocked. Had way too many jerseys in white in the paint.
Yeah, and the shot clock is... Oh, wow. Pass off the backs. Williamsburg will hold on to the ball, though.
Yeah, trying to get a pass going, but it hit the back of Garita Jr.'s head. So, not something you really want to see there. And now we get to see another foul there by Marshall. So right now, Minutemen will still have the rock as Cruz passes over. Quick passing there for the Minutemen. As Cruz passes over to Marley. Marley back over to Hugh. Hugh passes it back to Tierra. Tierra got a nice screen, going for the three, and it's good. And we get a quick timeout there for the Summit. And it's looking like Williamsburg is pulling away from this game, up by 11, 34-23. You know, it really seems to me that so far, Seattle has really been struggling trying to find a way to contain these guys within the paint. As we get to go ahead and see Carter with the rock. Carter passing over to Garita Jr. Jr. going over to Jerry. The Minutemen fan calling defense, and right now they look like they get a little bit of that as they get to tip it out of bounds. It's still going to be Seattle's ball. No, excuse me, it's going to be Minutemen's ball. I guess it came off of a defender's leg. Right now, Williamsburg has a chance to extend their lead up to possibly 13-14 as we get to the middle of the second quarter. Tierra trying to pass into the paint, but it gets tipped by the Big Furs. And right now we see Garina trying to take advantage, and he's able to shoot it up, but he's not able to get it down. But Cruz with another personal, as Garina Jr. will go on the line for two. So this could give us an opportunity to see Seattle cut the deficit down to single digits. Garita Jr. is also a former Arctic, having a chance to go a little bit back inland as he misses the first one. Right now he has been able to continue the legacy of Seattle of having strong Big Furs to play well into the paint. As Garina has made the second. It seems like a little bit of a theme here when it comes to Seattle. Not making the first one, but making the second one instead. It seems like that has been the big thing, as who passes over to Tierra. Tierra getting a nice screen. Has a lane, laying it up, and it's good. Excellent teardrop there And now the lead is up to 12, excuse me, 36-24. And right now we're going to see a tip in, and it gets stolen. A quick, easy lay-in for Tiara once again. Tiara is just taking control of this entire game with 15 of the night so far. Jerry hands it over to Marshall. They have to find something on offense at this moment. As Jerry goes for three. Not able to get it down as DQ tries to get it and lay it up, but it gets blocked once again by Hugh. Hugh is on a roll at this moment.
I mean, he is destroying the former Defensive Player of the Year on defense right now. It is actually becoming a little bit of a one-sided contest here between the two of them.
Yeah, and so far we're trying to make sure to find some kind of answer as Karina Jr. laying it up, and it's good there. As now they cover the deficit back down to 12. But right now they really have to keep an eye on Tiara because she has been controlling this game on offense with 15 points for tonight. As Q trying to find a way to back into the paint. Really fighting the big polar bear, but he's not able to get it down that time.
Well, that's one of the advantages for Williamsburg. Maybe not every player shows up every night, but they have so many different role players that they can rely on 3 of them out of the 5 showing up and making enough of a difference to win the game. Is Hugh on the steal now?
Yeah, right now Williamsburg has really turned it up defensively. Right now we're going to see a quick pass over to Tiara. They're trying to find a way to extend this lead up to possibly 15 if they get a good 3. With Tiara.
With Tiara, it's not a surprise if she threw it up, but...
Yeah. Shot clock violation there, so it'll be Summit's ball.
I mean, she had to shoot over the polar bear. That was a little bit of a high arc she had to throw up.
Especially that far out, so...
And not a lot of people realize this, but shooting up threes takes a lot of arm strength, and you can get tired pretty quickly in a game if you keep chucking up those threes nonstop.
Yeah, we get to see a lot of substitutions on both ends. As we get to see DQ trying to find a split, but he loses the ball. And once again, a huge turnover. And we get to see an easy, fast break dunk on Williamsburg end. And right now, they are just killing it with being up 14. And once again, we get to see another timeout for Seattle.
Yeah, and that's another timeout burn. That's over half their timeouts gone already, and they haven't even made it to the end of the second quarter here. But, again, they have a lot they need to turn around. I mean, they've scored, what, 3 points since the start of this quarter?
Yeah, it's really looking pretty ugly on Seattle's end. As they're trying to find something in the paint as Garita Jr. trying to lay it up, but it gets blocked hardcore, but DQ gets it. But he tries to hand it back over to Garina, but gets stolen by McLeod. It's not looking very good. We see another 3-pointer, and it's good. That time, I believe, that was from Davis. So it's not looking very hot for Seattle. As it's just gotten real ugly.
Do you want to go suit up for them?
No, I've had my time in the league. I don't need to.
I mean, they might need a new player on the team right now because they are struggling here. This is a poor showing in this time, and finally a foul. And they're going to call it a shooting foul. A little bit of a gift there. Let's see if he can convert it from the free throw line.
Yeah, they're going to need something to try and get some kind of offense going. They've been in a very long drought. And he's able to get the first one.
Can Seattle break 30 is the question here.
Well, they've only got 5 minutes with 2 points. I think they'll be able to do it.
They went 7 with 4 or 5, so.
Yeah, right now, Hugh passing it out to Tiara. They need to get a stop here is what they need. And right now we get to see another screen and another wide open, but nice cleanup there as Hugh has to lay it up and in. It was very tough to get those 2 points as we thought was an open lane. But Seattle was quick to close it up. But still, Seattle still down by a wide margin. Down
Well,
by 17 as McNamara passes over to Garita Jr. And DQ finding an open lane to slam it down hard. With a lot of authority, too. He does not seem very happy at how this game is going with that dunk.
I mean, he's been shut down on offense here tonight. I don't blame him for being upset. Looks like Hugh's going to go right back at him, too.
And DQ's not really having any of it. Had to pass it out to Davis, and Davis goes for a tough three. Not able to go down as Garita Jr. gets the board. McNamara is trying to find a way to open up a lane, but instead he backs it back out into the perimeter. Passes over to Disco. Disco handed back over to McNamara. McNamara getting a screen from Garita Jr. Nice open lane. Trying to lay it up, but he gets fouled by McLeod.
Again, fouls aplenty from Williamsburg, but none of their players really seem to be in any foul trouble. I think Marley with 2 is the most pressing of the players, but even that is easily remedied by Crystal Davis. And actually, we're going to see Tierra finally getting a little bit of a break here.
Yeah, right now, at this current moment, it's going to be very interesting. Now with the fact that Tierra is taking some rest, can Seattle find a way to get back into this game? As Davis brings it up. Davis. Passes it over to Hugh. Hugh almost got the ball tipped, but he goes for a top 15-footer, not able to get it down as Garita Jr. He's really getting a lot of the boards here for Seattle. We're going to see a nice quick pass over to Carnell with the dunk.
And he's able to get a lot of vertical there. And I think part of the problem is since Hugh is taking so many shots and DQ is being forced to guard him so close, Garina is just able to clean up the boards a lot easier than DQ is. DQ is too busy having to keep away an equally sized player from pulling down an offensive rebound.
Well, they might have more of an advantage as Timothy Spengard gets to come in for Hugh. And McLeod laying it up and in. As they still are up pretty high, up by 13. As the Meerkat McNamara bringing it up. Getting a quick screen there by DQ. He was looking for a pick and pop, but Disco was trying to go down to the lane, but was tipped, and to get a quick jump ball.
I can't look.
And
as a fellow under
not
5'5" versus this just don't even jump, Driscoll. Thank you.
Yeah, right now Williamsburg is able to get the ball there pretty easily. If I do say so myself.
I mean, about the only option Driscoll had was to punch Svengar in the stomach and hope.
Yeah, and of course, Williamsburg will happily take advantage of that as McDonough is able to lay it in. And right now, McNamara playing a little bit of point guard at this moment. He passes over to Garita Jr. Passes over to Disco. Disco going for a tough three there, not able to get it down. As Musk gets the board. Right now, you're going to see a quick three from Davis, and she's able to bring it down easy. And just like that, Williamsburg is up by 18 and is just not looking good right now. As DQ is able to lay it in, trying to do everything that they can to get the deficit down, but they got to do something on defense.
Well, I mean, honestly, Williamsburg is not blowing me away here. They're at 52 points. This is kind of, the pace you'd expect FBA team to set going into the end of the first half, but Seattle's just so far back right now. It just makes Williamsburg look so much better.
Yeah, and right now Musank doesn't have a lot of time on the shot clock. Has to do something as he goes for three. Not able to get it down as DQ gets the board. Get a quick pass down to Carnell, and Carnell laying it up, but it's no good. Carnell probably should have just held off for that and let the rest of the team come in, as there were a lot of furs in white. As we get to see a quick jumper for Davis, but McLeod gets the board. McLeod getting guarded, but gets blocked by DQ. Some nice defense there by the Polar Bear. Seeing that McLeod's a little bit easier to handle instead of the big dragon that he's been struggling with all night. Right now, Carnell passes over to McNamara. McNamara hands it over to Garina Jr. It goes for a tough fadeaway, not able to get it down that time.
And the shot clock might as well be turned off here. It's barely a 0.5-second differential, but the steal from DQ keeps Seattle hopeful with the last possession.
Yeah, right now they need to have something to get in, to find some kind of momentum for the next half. But right now, getting a tough shot there, and he's able to make it in.
Yeah, that pump fake completely caused Williamsburg to bite on it, and I'm surprised he wasn't fouled there, honestly, and that may have been what he was going for, was a foul opportunity.
Yeah, but right now Driscoll is able to get a nice tough shot in the last second, but they're going to need a lot more of that coming the next half as we get to go ahead and go into the halftime show.
Yeah, and I mean, Williamsburg just honestly doing their job here tonight. It's Seattle that's really falling short, in my opinion. I don't think Williamsburg, aside from Hugh, has done anything out of the ordinary tonight.
Yeah, and right now, 52-38. 38 points in the first half. That's got to be the lowest for this year, isn't it?
I mean, I believe there have been teams that have scored as low, but we'd have to get Jimmy on it to look through the stats. Now, we'll look at the individual stats in just a second, but I can already tell for Williamsburg, the big player will be La Tierra, but let's look at this real fast. And as stated, 15 points for her in 14 minutes with 4 assists, 2 steals, shooting above 50% from the floor. Todd Hugh, 5 blocks. He is on his way to a double-double with blocks alone if he keeps this up. 6 points, 3 rebounds. Crystal Davis, 9 points, 2 assists and a rebound. Shooting a little below 50% from the field, but 50% from beyond the arc. McLeod, 2 steals, an assist, 3 rebounds, and 2 points to her name. Renee Fiora, 2 points, 1 rebound. Only taking 1 shot here. It's not like she's needed to do that much. Chantal Magnano, 5 points, 3 assists, also perfect from the field. Svengard, 2 points, 4 rebounds, 1 block. 2 turnovers, though. Marley, perfect from the floor with a 3-pointer, 5 points, 2 rebounds, and an assist. Wisdom Masankabala, 4 assists and a rebound. All of his shots have been missed so far. Oliviera, 4 points, 2 for 6, struggled a bit. Pinichkul, 2 points, 2 rebounds, 1 for 1 from the field. And then the rookie Cruz, only 1 rebound and 1 missed shot to his name. And hopping on over to the Seattle Summit, Daniel Kuvianik, 4 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and a block, but struggling 2 for 5. Mark Garina Jr., 5 points, 6 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 block, 2 for 5 as well, struggling a bit from the field. McNamara, 9 points, 2 rebounds, most of them coming from the free throw line, though, struggling 2 for 6, below 33% shooting, but getting it done from the free throw line at least. Marshall has only taken 2 shots and missed both of them, silent otherwise. Paul Driscoll, the buzzer beater, brought him up to 2 for 4 with 4 points, 1 assist, and a steal. Jerry Naranjo, 2 points, 3 turnovers, though, and not shooting well either with 1 for 4 from the field. Trishawn Carnell, 5 points, 2 for 5 with 1 free throw, but that dunk brought the team to life for a little bit there. Miriam Wallstein, 5 points, 6 rebounds, and a block, 1 for 3, but 3 for 3 from the free throw line. Maha Al-Sahari, 1 rebound, 2 assists. Johnson, the rookie, 3 rebounds. And Carter, the rookie, a rebound and assist, but a turnover, missed all his shots. Triano, 4 points, 2 for 2, perfect from the floor.
Yeah, and so far so good. I think the biggest thing for Seattle is just finding a way to get a rhythm on offense. They have not been able to get anything down, it seems, for any of the players. It seems like an entire cold night for all the players on that team. As Fiora hands it over to Hugh. Hugh finding a way to lay it up and in, and Hugh is continuing his big game. And right now, 8 points for the night.
I mean, big in terms of defense, 5 blocks. I can't wait to see if he adds any more of that total here tonight.
Yeah, and we almost get to see Hugh getting a steal there, but it will still be Seattle's ball. Oh, no,
No,
excuse me, the
Williamsburg. It is a
Minutemen's ball.
turnover. I think it bounced off Hugh and then the Seattle player.
Well then, all right then. That's pretty interesting. And right now we get to see Fiora trying to find a way to find a player as he goes over to Tierra. Tierra passing it back up to Fiora. Fiora doesn't have a lot of time left. Has to do something. For a tough 3 there. The defender in her face is not able to get it down. And we get to see a deep pass there, but it gets stolen immediately. Once again, another turnover for Seattle. They cannot afford to have these uncostly turnovers. And right now, Marley laying it up and in.
Yeah, honestly, Seattle, if they don't make a push here in the next few minutes, I think they'll start wrapping it up as well and checking out themselves.
Marshall just trying to find somebody. He passes it over to Garena Jr. Garena laying it up, and it's good. So Seattle only down by 16.
Only.
Only. And we get to see McLeod, who hands it over to Tierra. Tierra with a mid-ranger, not able to get it down that time. As Evan Marshall gets the board. Marshall hands it over to Garena Jr. Garena tried to pass it over to McNamara, but it gets hit with that hand. But you get to see DQ cleaning up everything. That could have been another disaster there on that possession.
Well,
but Seattle able to clean it up.
I think Tierra was not expecting to get a ball to the face there. Thankfully, she looks okay. Doesn't look too impacted, more dazed than anything.
Yeah, as right now we get to see Michaela trying to go for a mid-ranger, but instead passes it back out to Fiora. Fiora getting a good screen there by Hugh. Passing it to Marley, who's wide open. Not able to get it down, though, as Hugh trying to clean it up, and he does so.
Yeah,
and right now we just see another timeout for the Summit.
Only 3
they
left.
Only have... Yeah, it's crazy of how fast they are burning these timeouts. I can understand that you're down by a wide margin. You try to find some kind of game plan to get things done. But at the same time, you only have 3 left in the rest of the half. And we barely got into the third quarter.
Well, I mean, they're probably trying to figure out how they can stop who literally has, aside from the 2 dunks from DQ, has shut him down here tonight. And they need to find some way to get him pulled away from the polar bear.
And Wallstein gets blocked there, as Williamsburg's able to bring it down, possibly get another chance for a fast break. But instead, they might have to reset, and they do so as Marley goes for 3, and she's able to get it down. Michaela Marley starting to heat things up here, the Wolfpack.
And Seattle, down 19, could quickly find themselves down by 20 here. And honestly, that's kind of my checkout point. And a turnover is steps out of bounds there.
Another unforced turnover on Seattle's end. They have to do something to prevent this from happening, but it's just not their night tonight.
Well, now they're just panicking, I feel like.
Yeah, right now let's Tiara, who hands it over to Michaela. Michaela heading over to Fiora. Fiora pulling it back. Trying to get a screen, but instead has to pull it back. Goes over to McLeod. Tiara going for a last-second three-pointer, and it rattles home. So now Williamsburg is up by 22. Like this is just couldn't get any uglier for Seattle at this moment.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if I see Williamsburg making a substitution here to bring out some more of their bench players just to protect their starters, keep them healthy, as they are very much in contention for an FBA championship run this year.
Yeah, right now we get to see Miniman getting a quick board out of the miss from Seattle. And right now, we can see Marley trying to make some moves. Pulling it back for a little bit. Kayla trying to lay it up, but it gets hit out, and it looks like it's going to still be Summit's ball. And I believe it got last touched by... I'm not entirely sure, but
I think it was
it
Davis
was
who
touched.
last got her paw on it because I think
Yeah.
Carter stole it and Davis poked it from his paws. But probably best that it went to Seattle considering the shot clock was just about to end as Johnson, the center, going for three doesn't work.
Yeah, right now we get to see Williamsburg continuing this fast pace and not even get it down though as Johnson gets the board. Seattle has to find a way to slow the pace down because right now they're being incredibly overwhelmed, but they can't be making wild shots like that. They have to find a way to slow it down. As much as they don't want to, considering how down they are, they might have to do that in order to find some kind of control into this game.
I mean, I personally think that they've also kind of just put their rookies out now just to let them play and get the experience. We see obviously Carter and Johnson on the floor, the two rookies. So I think even Seattle's getting to the point that they're ready to shut it down.
Yeah, and right now we get to see a quick steal there for Seattle. See if they can find a way to take advantage of this and try to cut the deficit down to 20. Then we get to see Naranjo. Pass it over to Johnson, who passes over to Carter. Carter loses the ball there that time. And right now we get to see another chance for a fast break point. The butterfly laying it up and in. So yeah, this looks like it's going to be one of those games here in SportsDen, but right now we're just trying to have to find a way to make sure we get as much as we can as Naranjo passes over to Johnson. It goes over to Marshall. Marshall passes to Carter. He has to give up the three to hand it over to Naranjo. Getting a nice screen for a pick and pop, but it's no good. And as you can see it right here, scoreless in the last 4 minutes for the Summit. As right now they do get the ball back after a missed shot. And we're going to see another reach-in foul there by Michaela Marley. And I think that'll be her third personal of the game as we get to see Fiora get subbed out, excuse me. That's Al. Passes over to Marshall. Marshall going to go to Al. Pass it back up to Marshall. Naranjo gets the rock this time. Getting a quick screen from Wallstein. Who tries to lay it up, but gets fouled there by Oliveira, and be her first personal.
Now, even if the game is not moving in the most exciting path, we can obviously still talk about both teams and what they're going to do going forward as scoring drought continues with that miss there. Obviously, we mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast that Seattle finds himself in an odd position of having the ability to reset going forward. Who do you think of the starting lineup they should really focus on bringing back during the offseason?
Well, I mean, not to be a bias, but pretty much DQ.
Bias Bear.
He's pretty much your bread and butter and really became the face since Turner left. And even though this is technically a reset, you can still pretty much build around him. He still pretty much has done as well as he could, even though he had that unfortunate injury in his rookie year.
I was about to say, how many more years can his knees really hold up? I know he slimmed down a bit after his rookie season, but he's coming up on his 8th season, 28 years old, and he's had knee problems.
Yeah, but even then, I still think that having that big center who has been given a consistent play throughout his entire years, even though he might not be, because it depends if Seattle wants to win now as well. If they don't want to win now, they might not want to go for him, as we get to see some quick play over there. I think that's Oliveira. He says pass it up to Marley.
Yeah, even Williamsburg's killing shot clock now. They don't want to be too unsportsmanlike here.
Yeah, but as we get to see Wallstein trying to lay it up, and it's good there. I do think that it depends on whether or not Seattle wants to go back into winning now for the next couple of years, having a small window. But if they want to have more of a longer rebuild, then they might not want to go for DQ and instead possibly go for Nico McNamara if they want to keep him long term, considering that he is in his
this is his 4th season.
4th year. Yeah, it's his 4th year, and he will be entering his 5th year. So pretty much having a guard, which this league has turned into a guard-heavy league, these past few years. I would not be surprised if they try to go for McNamara and really continue on, trying to see if they can build more of a perimeter shooting team. Because I will say, the Summit do need a little bit of a refresher when it comes to a play style as well. We can see Naranjo go for three, not able to get it down that time as Fingar gets the board.
See, I'm in the opposite camp. I think they need to move on from Nico. I mean, obviously, even in this situation where he's getting to shoot a lot more, Univia is second on the team in points per game. He's only shooting 43% from the field and below 38% from beyond the arc. I mean, he can shoot the three, but not necessarily well right now. And it depends on the cost they can get him back. I mean, obviously, if they can get a team-friendly contract, because he still has to really prove himself in this league, I feel it might be worth bringing him back. But DQ, at the very least, is the only real star player on this team that you could build around, in my opinion.
Yeah, as I said, it also really depends on whether or not if they want to win now. If they do want to wait a little bit and have a couple of years left to just rebuild and find a brand new identity, I could totally understand going for McNamara, going for a little slower pace. We can see a quick layup there as Williamsburg is able to get it up by 21. It's Crystal Davis laying it in. But yeah.
Well, I was going to say, we can't keep out of the fact that Seattle, assuming they miss the playoffs this year, will have a lottery pick, which in itself could be a big point for them in rebuilding.
Yep, it all really depends on what kind of style they still want to play. Do they still want to be that team that thrives in the front court, going into the paint, slamming it in your face? Or do they want to go and, play copycat a little bit and go for that perimeter shooting that is much needed in this league?
Well, at least in terms of development, I mean, they play divisional rival Montana, and they get abused by the three-point shooting often, and they really haven't been able to keep up with that. And without Jake, I feel like their post play is just not up to snuff anymore.
Yeah. Right now we get to see Carnell passing it up to Wallstein. He's trying to get a quick leg up. It's Garita Jr. trying to slam it, but it gets blocked there.
He corbered it. Oh, this is the game. Everything goes wrong for Seattle. Just, do you think they can go to the refs and say, hey, can we end the game early here? We don't want to risk anything at this point.
Yeah, and right now we're only 1 minute left in the third quarter, and Seattle hasn't even break 50 yet, but they might do it. No, excuse me, there's a reach-in foul, so it's not a shooting foul this time. As Lee Vieira gets the reach-in, and right now we get to see some sub again for Tierra and McLeod.
Yes, that's exactly what Williamsburg needs to do. Bring back your star point guard when you're up by 23 points. Never mind, they're not going to be a good sport here, I guess. They'll keep padding her stats.
Though I will say, when it comes to Williamsburg, I think it is good to keep all the stamina up, because you never know if someone is going to be at risk at injury. Sure, Tierra probably isn't the best choice to bring back on the court at the moment, but trying to get a lot of their bench players getting ready for the playoffs is they pretty much 1 second, just another game closer to just clinching up their spot in the playoffs.
Yeah,
so
we just saw DQ block.
What do you prepare?
A good block there on Williamsburg will give Seattle one last chance to break 50 in 3 quarters. It is not looking likely as Nico running down the shot clock.
Well, right now we can see a quick shot to DQ. DQ gets blocked, and that'll pretty much be the third quarter. We're going to see a wild shot, not able to get it that time. And Williamsburg is now up by 23, still 72-49.
So do you think we can do a player of the game in the third quarter or in the start of the fourth quarter and not be upset about it this time?
I mean, I can't blame you, but I'm pretty sure that we already know could be possible of being a player of the game this time around. I mean, Hu has done a fantastic job in this game, really doing everything that he can to keep DQ limited. He
is the defensive star of the game, no doubt. I think Tierra definitely getting it done on offense. Her three-point shooting was just so deadly, and the continuing turnover-wise, Uh, but we talked about Seattle. Let's talk about Williamsburg. I think they are perhaps the more interesting team to talk about because they're going to find themselves in a bit of a bind this offseason, considering obviously they have Latiera and Davis going into free agency, and their cap situation is pretty tight looking forward.
Yeah, I feel like it's time for, well, as the season goes on, especially if they actually end up winning it all this year, I think it might be time to see if they have to pick one of them and move on, because it's pretty easy to tell that Michaela Marley has really been kind of pretty much stamping her name as pretty much the most improved player of the year, in my opinion, considering how well she has played this year, how much being able to actually be in the starting lineup after being on this team for the last 3 or 4 years. It's, to me, it just seems like it's time for her to really put her stamp on this team and really become a star in this league. So I feel like it might be a good time for Williamsburg to move on to one of them, and it could be Davis if whether they like it or not. But
Yeah, I was gonna say Marley is on a team-friendly contract, only $6 million next year. That's half of what Crystal Davis is getting paid for this season alone, and perhaps Crystal could, depending on how the market is, find herself in a situation where she stays on Williamsburg at a discount, and perhaps that's how they have to swing it. Because Vera getting paid $18 million this year, I would be shocked, given her performance this season, to see her really take any kind of a pay cut going forwards. Like I said, there's not a lot of money to go around, so I think personally it's either Davis is gone or Davis takes a pay cut and moves to the bench at some point.
yeah, right now McNamara not able to get the mid-ranger this time. And so far, he has only been able to score 2 points this entire half. Not getting a lot of opportunities there. We get to see Williamsburg extend the lead up to 21. But yeah, at this current moment, they still have to. Of course, they have to go ahead and fill in their rookies that are coming up for next year too. With only having 4 spots available with so little cap space, they're going to have to see if they have to make a couple of other moves to make room for those rookies, or just trade away those picks entirely.
Yeah, and I mean, that could be a way if they want to try finding some cap space, but there's not a lot of assets I could see them moving aside from those draft picks. Perhaps even just selling them for pure cap would be an option, just to keep this core roster together that has proven to be such a formidable figure in the East.
Yeah, they have a good opportunity to be one of the favorites of the East, of making it out of the East, really, especially going up against the two teams in the Tides and the Voodoo, who have really made their stamps last year and doing the same thing this year. But I think Williamsburg has a lot to say, considering the fact that, as I said early in the first quarter, they are a very well-oiled machine.
That they are, and like I said, that they have probably the best chemistry of the division, I think, from top to bottom. Or sorry, the conference itself, top to bottom, between all their players, not just a 1-2 tandem that we see a lot of teams employing.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what makes them pretty much dangerous, the fact that any player can have a fantastic night. Like tonight, with Todd Hu and Tierra really being the main anchor women / men. I don't know really what to say with the
anchor
the
Minutemen,
but yeah, they've been the anchors for tonight, and then during the playoffs, they could be possibly Michaela Marley and Crystal Davis being the anchorman. Like, you never know. Any of these players can take over a game, and you just have to prepare. And there's not really a good way to prepare for that. It's kind of one of those pick your poison that Seattle is dealing with firsthand here.
Well, not just they've just fallen apart on terms of offense. I mean, they've had some moments on defense with like a block such as that, but they just can't find any consistency. I don't think anyone's shooting above 50% here. As we see a block from Williamsburg answering back. Obviously, not from who this time.
Yeah, this time it's from McLeod, another solid big for them that they've got a little bit on the cheap as well. But Latiera finding a lane, going for a tough mid-ranger, not be able to get it that time. Trying to find a way to get over the big bear, but any kind of arc with that much height is going to be pretty difficult.
Yeah, now the question is, will Williamsburg build up to a 30-point lead, or can Seattle answer with a bucket here? They're waiting for the shot clock to wind down, and it's not a very good shot. Bounced off the front iron, almost an air ball there.
Yeah, right now we're going to see another fast break point for La Tierra. It just seems like they're just running it away from this crazy thing. I don't even know if we could really even say this is a game. It's really more of a slaughter at this point. As DQ passes over to Carnell. Carnell going over to Carter. Carter for three. Not able to get it down. And it's just been a very off night as, of course, Carter not able to get anything this entire game.
Yeah, I want to look at the quarter-by-quarter stats because Seattle's had some long droughts here tonight, and to see a foul from Carnell. Williamsburg themselves have slowed down the pace. I don't know if it's out of respect or out of pity maybe a little bit, the fact that they haven't even broken 80 yet here. Normally we'd expect them to see about 90 at this point.
Well, considering the fact that it really is just trying to find a way to try to get as much of the game clock down as much as they can, as we can see a large substitutions on both sides, it seems. And it looks like we're finally getting a chance to see both benches clearing out. As Davis is able to get a second one. So right now, Williamsburg is up by 27, 80 to 53. But yeah, so far, I think when it comes to Seattle, they're going to have to pretty much have to try to get this game and really forget about it as they move on to the next one, because they are still in playoff contention, and they can't really let a game like this really derail any kind of momentum. Even as painful as it is playing in this kind of game, it's not fun when you see the scoreboard and you're down by that much. But
unless Seattle's going to start tanking the rest of the season in the hopes of securing a top pick, I don't know if there's any players they really have their eyes on, as we see a 5.5-minute drought. Basically, this whole quarter they've gone scoreless.
And right now we get to see the two teams trying to fight it over, as we get to see a little bit of a loose ball. But we get to see a long two there. And we finally get to see Seattle score after probably the last 5 minutes, really.
Yeah, it was almost close to 6 there. And as you see, Williamsburg field goal percentage is starting to dip a bit below what we would expect to see. A block from Seattle.
Yeah, Al not able to get down, but Walstein trying to lay it up and in.
Oh, she might keep Williamsburg from hitting that 30-point mark, but yes, maybe they can aim to break 70 here tonight, Seattle.
And right now we see a reach-in foul from Walstein this time, and right now we get to see another large substitution. As we get to see the entire starting... What?
I mean...
all right, then.
Maybe Williamsburg wants to practice something on a live opponent. I mean, if you can consider Seattle alive right now.
Yeah, and of course we get to see a reach-in foul by Evan Marshall this time, so they'll go ahead and inbound it one more time.
So you know what I see? Seattle still has 3 timeouts left. Don't you think they should use them? Not really at this point.
I mean, it's at this point there's no really real reason to use the timeouts. We already know that this game is just about done.
I mean,
and right now we get to see a quick pass, which got intercepted this time.
Does Seattle get paid for commercial breaks? Because I think they'd love a few commercial breaks right now.
And right now we get to see Walstein able to get the mid-range shot. So they could be able to cut the deficit down to 19. as Latiera handed off to Marley. Michaela getting a nice screen there from McLeod. Michaela laying it up. Not able to get it down. McLeod gets the board, and they get another 24 seconds. Well, excuse me, 14 seconds. Excuse me, the new rules. As we get to see Hugh getting a quick fadeaway jumper. Right now, he's 12 points in this game.
Yeah, I don't think he managed to keep pace on terms of blocks, but the sheer number he's put up here tonight's enough. And Naranjo still not able to get the bucket.
Yeah, at this point, it's really safe to say that Seattle has just been ice cold in this entire game. As Hugh is able to lay it up, and right now he's doing a little bit of a stat filling this late in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, well, I mean, Seattle doesn't even have Daniel on the floor to guard him anymore, so he might as well take advantage of that situation.
Yeah, and Arena passes it over to Wallstein. Wallstein loses the ball there, and right now we get to see Tierra. Might as well just call it good as Michaela Marley dunks it. Another fast break for Williamsburg.
So almost a 30-point game again with Williamsburg on that little bit of a turnover fast break.
Yeah, with under 2 minutes left, so we won't see Williamsburg break the 100 mark, it seems. But it's still a very solid victory for them nonetheless.
Oh, you have little faith. Seattle can turn the ball over a few more times to help them out, but
yeah, well, right now we get to see another miss on Seattle's end as Hugh got the board. Roberto Latiera brings it over to Michaela. Michaela going over to McLeod. Pass it up to Fiora. Fiora almost loses the ball there, and it was last touched by her, so it will be Seattle's ball, I believe.
it will, but again, now it's about Seattle breaking 60 here tonight.
Well, they have the opportunity to do so, so right now, get to see Guarino Jr. able to break the 60 mark, as now Seattle's own is down by 25.
Wasn't the first game this year we had a team break 100 by the end of the third quarter?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, we get a nice dunk there by Tierra.
Yeah, giving the crowd a little bit something to compensate them for their ticket price here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, either way, a W is a W, and I'm sure that Minutemen are the Minutemen fans are very happy about how this game came out, considering that they pretty much are going to win by 20 plus against a playoff team in the West.
Well,
which
I mean, you say playoff team in the hunt for a playoff. This performance here tonight, I would not call Seattle a playoff team by any stretch of the margin.
Yeah, this is definitely not a showing you want to see if you really want to show that you are still in it for the playoffs. We get to see a quick points there, and as Naranjo is able to make both.
Now, will Williamsburg pad the stats with one more basket attempt just to break 90? I think Vera will maybe just hold on to the ball here and let the time run out.
Yeah, I was looking to be the case, so that'll be the final score here in Williamsburg, 88-63. And I gotta say, it's a very solid win for Williamsburg, but for Seattle, they're gonna have to take a nice, long, deep discussion as they head into the locker room.
Yeah, and I mean, to be honest, I think Williamsburg just did their job here tonight, and Seattle really was the one who failed to step up. And jumping on over to stats, obviously leading the way for the Williamsburg Minutemen, Vera, 24 points, 2 rebounds, 6 assists, and 3 steals, 10 for 17 from the floor. Todd Hu, 14 points, 10 rebounds, a double-double. Didn't record another block after the half, but definitely 5 in the first half alone is ridiculous. 7 for 11 from the field. Renee Fiora, 2 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, but 4 turnovers. A bit costly there with the ball. and she only took 3 shots total and made one of them. So not really an offensive night for her. But then again, with the 2 players above her, not like it was required. Rebecca McLeod also adding to the block total with 3 of her own, 3 steals, 2 assists, no turnovers. So she was very efficient here tonight, even though she only took 3 shots. Crystal Davis, 17 points coming off the bench, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and a block. 6 for 14, 2 for 5, just a standard night for her, and 3 for 4 from the free throw line. Kayla Marley, the starter, but had to be benched due to some foul trouble. Put up 12 points, 2 rebounds, 5 assists, and a steal. 5 for 9 from the field with 2 3-pointers to her name. Magnano, 5 points, perfect from the floor. Didn't have to do a lot offensively, but 5 points, 3 assists, and a rebound. And 1 turnover as well. That was the one area Williamsburg needed to improve on, was they started to get a little turnover sloppy as well. As Svengar, 2 turnovers, 1 block, 5 rebounds, 2 points. Penichkul, 2 points, 3 rebounds, perfect from the floor with his 1 shot. Oliveira took a lot of shots, 4 for 11, 8 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. A couple difficult shots coming from her, but she managed to convert quite a few. Wisdom, though, 0 for 4, only 4 assists to really highlight there. And Cruz, similar, only 3 rebounds and missed all 3 of his shots. Hopping on over to Williamsburg, Garina, 11 points, 11 rebounds, double-double, but not much to talk about. 5 for 12 from the field. Daniel, 6 points, 11 rebounds, completely shut down by Todd Hu there, even with those 2 big dunks. And 5 offensive rebounds, though, to his name. McNamara, 3 for 10, most of his points, almost all of his, half his points coming from the free throw line with 5. Jerry, 5 points, 1 for 7, missed all for 3-pointers and a block to her name. But 4 turnovers, really costly, especially considering McNamara had 3 as well. Evan Marshall, over 4, another player who struggled to get anything going from the floor. 2 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals. Wallstein, one of the few effective offensive players for Seattle with a double-double, 13 points, 5 for 9, 11 rebounds, and 2 blocks. Trishawn Carnell, 2 for 7, 5 points, and 1 block. Paul Driscoll, 4 points, 2 for 5, 2 assists, and a steal. Missed his 3-pointer and had 1 turnover as well, but in his 16 minutes on the floor was not able to do a lot. Carter probably would have been better not to shoot, considering he only went 1 for 8 here tonight, missing all of his 3-pointers. Maha Al-Sawari, 2 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, also shooting 1 for 6, missing all his 3-pointers and all his free throws. Chris Johnson, 4 rebounds, missed his 1 shot. Triano made 2 baskets, but not a lot of minutes on the floor. And hopping over to the team comparison, first quarter looked competitive despite the poor shooting from Seattle there.
Yeah, honestly, after that first quarter, we thought it was going to be a slow game, a tough defensive battle, but as the game went on, we could just clearly see the amount of onslaught.
Well, and looking at the third quarter alone, only 11 points scored by Seattle there. That right there was probably the quarter that really told them it was over and done with. I mean, by that point they were down by 20-plus points going into the fourth quarter, and really the only statistics worth mentioning are their offensive rebounds at 18. But that alone was nowhere near enough. I mean, just looking at their turnovers were equivalent, but the points off turnovers heavily favored Williamsburg. Just about every stat favored Williamsburg.
I think it really just comes down to that it was a very cold night for everyone. I don't know if there was some kind of like summit kryptonite that was like put into the arena of Williamsburg, but it's just overall all the players did not really play up to par when it comes to shooting. I mean, the rebounding was there, the defensive effort was there from time to time, but as the game went on, it became more and more of a slaughter. when it came to Seattle, and it just seems like a lot of the players seemed very drained as we got into the closing minutes of the not even the closing minutes, they were the middle of the fourth quarter.
I, I'm blown away by this one stat. Seattle shot 0 for 17 from the 3-point field.
Wow,
That stat
they
alone.
missed every single 3 point.
Yes, they did.
Ooh,
They missed every 3-pointer they attempted. Um, that definitely highlights the struggles that they've had this season, finding consistency, and perhaps highlighting again an area maybe they need to improve on because it wasn't like, oh, they only took 5 3-pointers and missed them all. They took a significant percentage of their shots from beyond the arc, and every single one missed here tonight.
yeah, I think it's pretty much clear to me that when it comes to Seattle, even though um, they are still mathematically in the hunt, if they really want to stay in the hunt, they're going to have to do a lot better and play a lot more cleaner than what we saw tonight. And right now, if in considering the fact that the West is by no means an easy task to really get into the playoffs in the first place, anyways, this is not something you want to see. Not by a long shot if you're a Seattle fan.
No, I mean, Seattle can definitely fans can take away from the fact that they probably played the second or possibly arguably third best team in the East, so that could factor into their struggles. But this is a team that, if Seattle was looking to make a playoff run, they needed to compete against. And honestly, after the first 12 minutes, whatever form of competition this was not at a professional level anymore.
Yeah, it just seemed like a lot of the players did seem pretty frustrated as the game went on. There wasn't a lot of, uh, excuse me, there wasn't a lot of communication being well sought out on the court, and it just seemed like there wasn't really a lot of unison. It was a lot of sloppy play. But at the same time, though, we can't really take away from what the Minutemen has been able to do. They did came into play. They did do everything that they can to get the W, even though they didn't really have one of the most greatest scoring performances. Their defense has just really been up to par in this game.
Yeah, and all eyes had to be on Todd, who there, the Eastern Dragon, matching and exceeding Daniel in pretty much every category outside of offensive rebounds, and that was not necessary for him considering how well Williamsburg was scoring. A player definitely to keep an eye on to see if he can keep this up going forward. Obviously, given he will be matched up most likely against Jake Turner, should they make a playoff run. I would imagine Williamsburg and Plymouth meeting at some point in that journey.
Yeah, I can agree with you there. I think that if we end up seeing Williamsburg and Plymouth at some point in the playoffs, I think we're going to see a pretty interesting task for Jake Turner having to deal with after seeing what his one of his best buds in Seattle pretty much getting manhandled by Todd Who, and it's going to be a little bit of a. I wouldn't say that he shouldn't be like a big worry, considering that I do think that Jake Turner is definitely the more explosive out of the two, but at the same time, you can't underestimate what Todd Who can do on the court, especially defensively.
Yeah, and speaking of Plymouth, we will be traveling to Plymouth next tomorrow to watch the San Jose Thrust take on the Plymouth Taproots. I'm looking forward to it. I hope all the fans out there tune in tomorrow as well, joining you and I as we broadcast that game.
Yeah, it's going to be very exciting to see both of these teams. San Jose pretty much being led by Barnaby Jazz and Adam Tavella. That's another huge matchup, actually, in the center position between Jake Turner and Barnaby. Those two reuniting again for another huge battle.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting matchup, and I hope all you fans out there tune in. Thank you all for tuning in tonight, and thank you, Marcus Baylor.
It's been a pleasure.
And have a good night, everyone.